Alright guys, so today we're going to be turning this automatic E46 into a manual E46. And don't let it fool you, it's not an M3, it's just a 328 CI. We ended up picking up this car for $800, so it was pretty cheap, and I feel like it might make a really good car. Typically the automatics haven't been beat up so bad. Alright, so this is actually my little brother's car. We're going to be taking the manual transmission out of that BMW and sticking it into this thing. Alright, so we pulled the transmission out of the car, so that's our transmission. It's a ZF5. It's supposed to be one of the better ones out there. Pulled plenty of power. That's our clutch. We're just going to be using the clutch on that car. It only had about like 1,000 miles on it. We have our slave cylinder, pedals. We have our little spacer that goes in between the transmission and motor. Then we have our drive shaft. Alright guys, so currently my little brother is just removing the shifter. He did remove the little bevel that holds the window switches. It had 2 bolts holding it on right there.
So there's 3 bolts holding it on, 2 right here, then another one down there as you can see. And then you have a connector right here, just take off. And then you have this rod, you gotta slide off. It comes right off, and then you just pop the lever out. And it helps if you cut it too.
It's gonna get this thing in the air. Alright, so the E46 does happen to have a power steering link, but we will fix that another day. So to get that linkage off, we are gonna have to remove our exhaust. So up here by the headers, there's only 4 bolts holding that on. Whenever you're undoing that 4th bolt up there, it's pretty good to have an extension to help you out with that. All these little mounts right here. Here we have 2 13s that need to come out. Now it's just going to be these 4 bolts. So just make sure you guys are holding the exhaust. Now we're doing the wiggle. Oh, fake news, missed one. There's one right there. 13s. Move this exhaust heat shield thing. We got a 10 here, another one over here, and one over there, and another one up here.
No.
That sucks. Let's go. Oh, we're good. Now we're going to start removing the drive shaft. So we got 3 bolts here. To get these bolts off is you just want to hold the back nut with the wrench and then use a ratchet to remove those. And there's only 3 holding it up. You don't have to remove all of them. You do if you want to replace your Guivo right there. Here's some good engineering by BMW. They knew the transmissions would only last so long. They actually made this little locking point right there to help you remove it. Now look at that, it's gonna hold it right in place. Then we have 2 up here. You have to take this little drive shaft loop off. You do have to remove the bolts off your subframe, but you don't have to actually hold your subframe up. But it's just 1 bolt here, 2 right here, another 2 here, and this one over here. Cool thing we noticed on this, somebody did the reinforcements up here, so we don't have to do that. That's nice. And then we have 4 connecting the diff to the drive shaft. They're a E12. Just like that.
So we're gonna stick the screwdriver in here and pry this drive shaft off. Pops off.
Now we just have these 2 bolts and there goes the drive shaft. Not enough agadaga. Alright, cool. Working on getting the torque converter bolts out, but we gotta remove this brace real quick, that way we get better access. Got it. Too much torque. We're gonna have to undo the torque converter, and you can see right through there, if the camera picks it up, there's a little inspection hole, and that's where we're gonna have to loosen all those torque converter bolts from. At least they're not like Torx head or E-Torx or Allen bolts. All right, so now we're gonna start removing all the bell housing bolts. This thing does have quite a bit of them, and a lot of them I can't even see them. I have the trans bolts out, so now it's time to lower the transmission. And the reason we lower it is so we get access to the upper bell housing bolts. One there, and one. So I'm not too sure if we're doing this right, but we're using this long extension, the rattle gun, to get it off. Let's see if it works. Damn, that must be the strongest bolt in the world. Well, ever tighten that thing, we don't like you. We're going with a manual setup with the ratchet.
Oh, we might need a bigger one.
There's some small muscles out there.
Shit.
Ascension game is on point with this one.
So we're gonna start moving all these plugs off the transmission.
So this is the shifter cable you have to remove, and then you just feed it up through there.
Okay, so since we're manual swapping this thing, we really don't need the shifter cable, so we're just gonna say bye to that if I can get to it.
Yep, now we got it. Automatic. Delete.
Deleted. So now we're just gonna drain the fluid.
We missing something?
I think we are. Please?
Guys, so our transmission did not have any fluid in it. That's probably why it went out. We did notice a little bit of leaking over here by the transmission cooler. I was kind of blaming it on the power steering pump because these things are known for leaking power steering, but this is probably what wiped out this transmission, this little cooler. So we're going to be doing the quick release mod on these transmission lines.
Goddamn. There you go.
And we didn't make a mess.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we found another bolt. There's one, let's see, right there. And that is the cover for the torque converter bolts. Now it's time to pull the transmission out. All right, guys, so we have the transmission out. So now it's time to get this flywheel off of here. Rear main seal actually looks pretty decent in this thing, so we might just leave it. So now we're just gonna put this little spacer on there. We're not too sure how important this is, but it was on there from the factory, so might as well leave it on there.
Remember to not forget your pilot bearing, because you're not gonna have a fun time if you do that. Get a socket that's like the diameter of the actual bearing.
So now we're just installing this flywheel. And then you're just gonna put your hardware in there to secure it, and make sure to use some Loctite as well. You don't want the flywheel flying off of there.
So using the alignment tool, so this part's gonna go into the pilot bearing and it's gonna align everything really good. Just like that.
So this is the pressure plate, and we're just gonna line that up to the little dowels on. There we go. All right, so we got all our pressure plate bolts in. The way you want to tighten this is you go in a star pattern, and first you just snug up the bolts, then after that you torque them. It's time to mount up the transmission. We're gonna pressure wash this thing, but it's currently pretty cold outside and we're not trying to do that. All right, so now we're just gonna tighten all the bell housing bolts. Again, we're using the Super Extendo.
It's that one that sucks.
All right, so now we're just mounting up the tranny mount to the chassis. Removing the automatic transmission cooler. Probably good to have a drain pan right under it. So now we're just gonna put everything back together. We're just gonna do a quick little time lapse, that way you guys don't get bored. Alright guys, so we're currently gonna stop working on the E46. We just need to put the drive shaft in and the exhaust, but before we do that, we actually need to hook up our shifter. We are waiting on a few more parts to show up, We do need the rod that attaches the shifter to the transmission, and we're also going to be doing an upgrade on the joint. That way the shifts are just a lot crispier. But that's basically as far as we can go for right now. Next video, we're going to be showing you guys all the wiring that needs to be done to get this thing on the road and driving. Hopefully we are able to take it on a small little cruise. But one thing we're not too sure about is, should we keep these wheels? These are some Tesla wheels. They don't look bad, and whoever the old owner was, I think they matched them to the actual body of the car. Or should we put those on it? These wheels are Empars, and they are powder coated bronze. They're freshly powder coated, probably about a year old. We also have a third option. The third option would be, should we put, so we're going to be getting these wheels from one of the homies. This is that. And I think they'll look really good on there, but we'll only have two. There's some Empars just like this, but they are polished. That takes a lot of work to do, so it's a lot of commitment if we go that route. But again, that is content, so I don't know, comment down below what you guys think. Or should we put these? Just kidding. Just kidding. Wrong size, guys, wrong size. All right, guys, so this is our first long video we've ever made. If you guys liked it, make sure to subscribe, give us a follow.